Welcome to the Hello Seattle podcast, a local perspective on living in and moving to Seattle.
Yeah, we're excited to introduce you to people, places, and communities that make living in our hometown special.
Hello, Seattle. I'm your host, Zach McDonald.
And I'm Dan Keller, your other host. And we are talking about a really fascinating little community today. I'm really excited because this is 13. We were joking about this before today's podcast. This is number 13 of 14.
We're almost there. We've almost covered the entire city of Shoreline, neighborhood by neighborhood.
This is a community, though, that I didn't even know the name. I didn't even know it existed. So Dan
thought we were going to be talking about Ridgefield today. Just so you know, that's why I'm the real estate agent. He's the mortgage guy.
Man,
that's how different the west side of Shoreline can be. You live in Shoreline, but you know.
I did not even know that this was a part of Shoreline, let alone the name. I was thinking Ridgefield, which is in southern Washington.
I'm glad you said that, though. I learned that there's an In-N-Out now in Washington because of that. So
Ridgefield, Vancouver area.
The education.
Well, we're definitely not that far south. We're still in Shoreline. Like Zach just said, this is episode 13 of the 14 that we have planned for Hello Seattle Shoreline. This is season 2. So if you want to catch up on the other communities in Shoreline, they're all here on our podcast. You can find them on Apple or Spotify. Today, Ridgecrest. Just to give you a real quick overview of what we do with each one of these. Zach's a real estate professional. We both live in Shoreline. And so he knows these areas really good, sells a ton of homes in these areas. I do a lot of financing in these areas. So we're going to teach you about Ridgecrest, a little about the community, proximity, price points, a little about market stats, and then I'm going to come full circle at the end, kind of give you an overview of what it would financially cost you to live in this cool little community.
Love it. So let's talk about where Ridgecrest is, because it's definitely not in southern Washington or near Mount St. Helens.
It's right off the freeway.
But yeah, you're right off the freeway here in Shoreline. 175th is the northern border, and then you have I-5 on the east side. You've got 15th. We were talking about 15th in the North City episode, because 15th is also on the border there of North City in parts. And then you've got the southern border at 145th. So you've got, two different major freeway exits in Shoreline, and then you're just directly east. You've got light rail access.
Yep.
Speaking of transportation, right? 148th, so just north into Shoreline, there's a stop in the Ridgecrest neighborhood. So super convenient. That's brought a lot of growth to the neighborhood over the last 10 or so years with the anticipation of the light rail, and now with the light rail there.
Well, I'll tell you right now, we'll put a date on this in case you're watching this down the road. This is we're at the end of October 2025. And that's important because I'm going to talk about the market you are in a minute too. But this is chaos. From 145th to 175th for the last, 3 or 4 years, massive construction. In fact, I've just tried to avoid the 145th Street exit.
There's still construction.
Yeah. They shut down the on-ramp for a long time southbound. So, but it's all for a good cause. This is the light rail system.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot better. It's already a lot better. Transportation, and they're making a lot of improvements centered around the light rail, adding more density as well for some of the housing. Not specifically in Ridgecrest, but in a lot of the other neighborhoods around Shoreline. So as far as what you're going to find in Ridgecrest, lots of single family houses. You've got some townhouses, some of the new development coming in, but a lot of single family houses, not a ton of condos and apartments in Ridgecrest.
Right.
There is a cool little central kind of, we'll call it downtown area in Ridgecrest, right off of Northeast 165th. So kind of in the middle of the neighborhood. You got the Crest Theater, historical theater. It's, usually showing a few different movies. Fun little hangout spot. You've also got the Public House. You're excited about that.
Ale house.
Dan's like, man, we got to go get a drink.
Hey, I looked it up because I've never been there. 18 revolving beers on tap. Loving it.
That's pretty sweet.
Hey, we might need to go there and do a little, share a little content. Yeah.
Maybe we'll make a video there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right by the Crest Theater as well.
Okay.
And then in the neighborhood, I think the Paramount Park is a huge landmark. We come all the way from the other side of Shoreline to go to the park with the kids. There's a huge skate park. It's really nice. You've got a ball field. There's a really cool playground. So all of my kids throughout the summer, not as much in the wintertime, it's harder to get out to the parks, I would say, when it's raining out. But the kids want to go to Paramount Park, and they will specifically ask for it.
What do they like most about that park?
I think it's the variety. I think they really enjoy getting to play on the playground, and there's like a little track, walk around the track, go play at the skate park. They enjoy bringing their scooters, their bikes.
Okay.
One of my kids will skateboard. But I think the skate parks have become increasingly popular with the young kids.
Yeah.
Like really young kids.
Yeah.
I think when we were growing up, the skate parks were just like junior high school kids, kind of an alternative activity. The little kids really all enjoy scooting and skating.
Tony Hawk made skating cool. When I was little, 20, 30 years ago in high school, I used to tell my son this, good things don't happen at the skate parks. You stay away from that. A lot of things have changed.
Oh my God.
Because that was how it was when I was growing up.
Very wholesome, family-friendly activity right now.
Yep.
Especially with my kids, at least. I
love that.
I haven't noticed anything weird.
They have some basketball courts there too, tennis courts, pickleball. I gotta go visit
they don't have basketball and pickleball there.
Okay.
No, it's more
traditional park.
More of a traditional park. Yeah, lots of open space.
Cool.
There's actually a separate open space, the Paramount open space, and that's all just trails and stuff like that. So
love it, man.
A little more of a nature spot, and that's also it has a little bit of the Hamlin Park feel, but way smaller scale. Because we talked about Hamlin Park last week a little bit in our North City episode, because Hamlin Park's on the south end of the neighborhood, and Hamlin Park also borders the Ridgecrest neighborhood as well. So super easy access over to Hamlin Park if people want. We can talk a little bit more specifically there. The school's also super convenient.
Shorecrest.
Right, you've got Shorecrest and Kellogg just across 15th, and then you also have the Ridgecrest Elementary, which is one of the elementaries that a lot of people are really excited about and want to get their kids into specifically.
Okay.
What do you think, Dan, as far as mortgages, if we were to look at the monthly costs, what does that look like for us? And our median sales price is right around $750, average sales price right around $815 in this neighborhood. So that's your entry point. A little more expensive than a few of the other neighborhoods we've been talking about recently, but still a lot more affordable than some of the neighborhoods on the west side of Shoreline. And then one more thing too to note, rents are $2,500 to $4,000 a month for a single family house. And then your apartments are $15,000 to $2,000. Again, there are not a lot of apartment homes in the neighborhood or condos, but if you can find one, relatively affordable for those. But the rents are in that $2,500 to $4,000 range. So I'm curious too, how much more is it to buy versus rent in the neighborhood?
Yeah, and that's a conversation we're having a lot right now with people. Like, what is the difference between renting versus owning in today's market? Now that changes because affordability changes with interest rates, right? So a year and a half ago, we were sitting in the 7.5%, 8% range. Now we're down in the low 6s or 6. So what I'm going to use today for the sake of education or discussion is I'm just going to use a flat 6% 30-year fixed. And so the rent versus owning is not that different. And I'll get to this here in a second as compared, because when you factor in the tax benefits, Zach, and you factor in appreciation, and we're in a market where, if you understand cycles and patterns, we're in a market right now where we could see the next 3 to 4 years in that positive side of that appreciation pattern, 4 to 6% plus appreciation. So what we always love to do with these episodes is kind of help you better understand based off of Zach's data. Average price point right around $813, median price point right around $755. So we're going to split her kind of down the middle. We're going to use $800.
Yeah, I think that's a fair number for the neighborhood.
So you're going to see in King and Snohomish County right now in 2025, average down payments right around 5% down. So 5% down on $800,000, you're looking at about $40,000 plus some closing costs. You could buy a house in Ridgecrest for under all in $50,000. Which is great. That's your down payment plus your closing costs. Again, you guys, this is not a quote. This is just estimates. I'm going to give you my mortgage loan originator ID here in a second.
Is it 115349?
115349 and here in Washington State.
Got it memorized now.
I got to stay compliant. So if you wanted to buy a home in Ridgecrest in the Shoreline area, average home, let's just say $800,000. You're looking at $40,000 down payment plus some closing costs. Your principal and interest payment's about $4,557 a month. I'm going to assume to insure the home, it's going to be about $100 a month based off of current estimates. Property taxes, we're going to estimate about $667 a month. You're going to pay some private mortgage insurance. Now, based off of some assumptions like 740 credit score or higher, 5% down, you're going to be paying about $170 a month in PMI. Okay. And you're going to add all that up, and you're right under $5,500 a month total monthly mortgage payment.
And that's with a 5% down payment.
5% down with a 6% 30-year fixed.
Okay.
So compared to a $4,000 or a $4,500 a month rent, not bad.
It's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
A little bit more.
Now, I'm going to assume that you have a little bit of monthly revolving debt, whether it be a car payment or credit card. So I'm going to add $500 to that $5,500 a month total payment, because I want you to understand what it would take from a total household income standpoint to qualify.
So what would somebody's income need to be in
You're
order
looking
to
about
make this purchase?
$13K a month total household qualifying income.
Okay.
Not bad, which is equivalent to about $160,000 a year, Zach.
Okay.
Not bad, right?
Okay. What's the 20% down look like?
Yeah. So for our more qualified, I don't want to say more qualified, but more liquid clients that have 20% down, that's about 160 grand plus some closing costs, about 170 grand. You're looking at a total monthly payment of about $4,600 a month. Let's add some debt to that. So all in, right around $5 grand a month with debt. You're looking at about $11K a month total household income needed to qualify, which is about 130 grand.
Yeah, we've been kind of in that 10 to 11,000 a month range with 20% down on the east side, mainly of Shoreline.
Yeah. Big myth out there. Do I get a better interest rate by putting 20% down? And we've had a lot of people reach out to us, whether it be from this podcast or just in general from home buyer classes. Funny enough, the interest rate and the fees associated with that, all things considered on credit score, is actually a little bit better with someone putting 5% down.
That's
Believe
wild.
it or not.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So Fannie Mae changed their guidelines 2 years ago, where they wanted to encourage or facilitate home ownership for all borrowers, not just well qualified. So they made it a little bit easier, affordable for lesser qualified borrowers. There was a big shakeup in the industry about that. And there was a lot, it was under the Biden administration. And people were like, why are you incentivizing someone that hasn't, saved up as much? And it wasn't, if you kind of read the fine print, it really wasn't that, Zach. It was, if you just look at the main premise, there's some parts of the country where people don't have a larger down payment, and people, really haven't had the education or the opportunity to build their credit profile. Yep. So this was just to incentivize someone that had 3 to 5% down, with a 660 to 740 credit score. Maybe they're called loan level pricing adjustments. So have less loan level pricing adjustments for those lesser qualified. The well-qualified like UZ that are putting 20% down, for example, you're still going to get a great interest rate. They just got a little bit better incentives.
Nothing was being taken away. Something was just being given.
That's the key word. Nothing was getting taken away from the well-qualified. They were just giving a few more incentives for the lesser.
So, somewhat like the government loans.
You get the government involved and they do some crazy stuff, and that's what they did.
Yeah. I mean, the government loans have better interest rates, generally speaking, than the conventional loans.
Yeah.
There's some different fees and such associated, but there's some pretty cool benefits there.
And I'll conclude with this. You guys, there's numerous programs out there for especially first-time home buyers in different areas. They have AMI, area median income incentives. If you make under a certain income, you're buying at a certain price point. So if you have any questions on mortgages or buying in certain communities like this, Zach knows the communities. I know the money side of it. And that's one of the reasons why we have this podcast. We have a lot of people that relocate from outside of the area and outside of the country, even to the Seattle area. And this really gives you a good idea of what it takes to qualify and a little bit more insight in these communities.
Okay, this is a little bit of a tangent, but before we wrap it up, you mentioned that the cost of buying versus renting is not that different, and it's not, but you also started throwing out some other things. You're talking about appreciation, you were talking about, the
IRS
taxes, and you also were talking about the mortgage interest. Like, help somebody who's watching this understand how it might actually be more beneficial to buy, even though the payment's a little bit higher.
So when you buy a home, And this is one of the reasons why the United States of America is so desirable, real estate is so desirable, is the IRS pays you essentially to own a home. They're going to give you money back on the property taxes that you pay. They're going to give you money back in the form of a tax refund at the end of the year on the mortgage interest that you pay, potentially the PMI that you pay. And then the great thing that I love, and as a real estate investor, and I know you love this, is that because Seattle, the greater Seattle area, the Puget Sound is such a desirable area in the United States, homes go up in value at a higher rate. And so, for example, you buy this $800,000 home and you only put 5% down, which is $40,000.
It's not very much.
The $800,000 home vehicle goes up in value. So let's say it goes up 10% in value. You just earned $80,000 in appreciation by only putting down $40,000. So your $40,000, look at that rate of return. It doubled in 1 year. So these are now, and
that's not even factoring in any of the other things.
The IRS incentives. Yeah. So yes, it's $1,500 more a month to own than it is to rent. But now you own a piece of dirt in Seattle, Shoreline. And that dirt is only going to go up in value. The home on that dirt is only going to go up in value over time. Even if it only goes up like 4 to 6%, like it's projected over the next 2 years, 6% appreciation on $800,000, still almost $50,000 a year.
Yeah, you're still doubling that down payment.
Yeah. So these are some of the things when we do teach homebuyer classes that we really try to give you that bigger picture, like think bigger picture. I'm so grateful that 27 years ago, I bought my first home, because that helped me buy my second home. That second home 5 years later helped me buy my third home with my family. That third home, see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Snowball.
It kept growing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've shared this before, but my first home purchase in Edmonds was 10% down. It was $50,000 or $55,000 on a at the time, $550,000 house. And when I sold it for $900,000,
it almost doubled in what, 4 or 5 years?
That was 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
You started your
now,
family
that's not
there?
necessarily normal.
No.
It's going to double in value, but every year, essentially, I got that money back that I put. Well, that $50,000 that I put down became $50,000 more each year.
Yep. And then when you sold, you guys were able to upgrade to a really nice home. You know, your next home for your family that's growing. So these are some of the things that when we sit down and we do a buyer's consultation, and I do what's called a mortgage financial strategy session. What we're going to do is we're going to take a particular home, a price point that meets your qualifying standards, if you will, and we're going to zoom out 5 to 15 years, and you're really going to get a really clear idea of how that looks financially, and it's quite impressive.
Yeah, this is cool. I think this is different than some of the other episodes where we've talked only about the neighborhood, but I think it's valuable to add in some of these different contexts as we wrap up the season here. So any last thoughts about Ridgecrest, not Ridgefield?
Yeah, I love the fact that again, we're talking about these different communities, and each one is special. And I think a lot of these are special because of this key word that you're going to hear me say from kind of an outsider. You know these areas a lot, but proximity. You're so close to Snohomish County and the amenities that Snohomish County has. You're so close to the east side. So you could jump on the 520. You could head south a little and jump on the 520. You could head north a little, jump on the 405. You could also go down around the lake.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. You can jump down to Lake City Way pretty easy too.
So you're close to the lake. You're 15, 20 minutes away from downtown Edmonds and the waterfront, the dog park. And so proximity to Seattle and all the surrounding, the amazing suburbs that Seattle has. I think proximity is a key word again.
I think so. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, guys, talking about Ridgecrest here in Shoreline. If you do have questions, as Dan said, about financing or making a purchase, or even just questions about the area, we're happy to have a conversation with you, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye, Shoreline.